distinguished speakers for accepting our invitation to participate in this event in solidarity with Haiti, Part 3. The most pressing question I had when I invited people to this event was, why do it now? This is Christmas. And my response was and is that we have a duty to remember. And whether it is Christmas, New Year's, or Carnival, we have a duty to remember Haiti, the Haitian people, and their struggles. And so this session is part of our responsibility and part of our duty of remembering. Haiti represents too much, not just to the Caribbean, but to humanity as a whole. And the struggles of the people of Haiti is a struggle that we must all embrace, a struggle that we must all participate in, either directly or indirectly. And today, before I introduce my first guest, who is the co-host of this event, the representative of the National Workers Union, I want to, in the Caribbean, we always start with prayers. But I would start with a prayer. It is a prayer from the book of Revolution and not Revelation. And that prayer is from our saint, Commander Fidel Castro, who said, their chains. Anything.
We can't hear you.
I think this context.
Cutting in and out. You have to stay close to the mic, Brother Coop.
Yes.
Yeah, so I want to quote, as I said, from Commander Fidel Castro, who said that humanity can learn from those who have broken their chains. Those who have changed humanity for centuries cannot teach humanity anything. And I think today that quotation reflects our perspective here. The fact that the Haitian people broke their chains so many years ago is a lesson for all of us today who are still chained, not by the enslaved system, but the system of slavery, or the system of colonization that we had, but the system of neo-colonialism. And as I said in an interview earlier this week, among our academics, a new term has emerged called post-colonial. In the Caribbean, there is no post-colonial. We are neo-colonial states, a new form of colonization. And the quicker we understand that, the better we would be. And I think in understanding Haiti, we'll understand what the Haitian people fought for and are still fighting for. So with those remarks, I would invite our co-sponsor of this event, Mr. Dave Smith from the National Workers Union, to share a few words with us. Dave was born in the UK and was involved in several labor organizations in the United Kingdom. He moved to Trinidad about 20 years ago and at first worked with the National Union of Government and Federated Workers. He is now the president of the National Workers Union and also a lecturer at the Cipriani College of Labor and Corporate. So I will now introduce our co-sponsor to give some words of welcome, Mr. Dave Smith.
Comrades, good evening. Good evening, comrades. Good evening. For trade unions, the struggle between capital and labour, of course, takes place at the workplace. And historically, the very first trade unions have been recorded in about the 1820s in England. As capitalism was beginning to develop, workers found it necessary to try and organise and resist the exploitation that inevitably came from the factories that were being developed. But those early attempts were crushed by the employers and, of course, by the state. And it wasn't long before early trade unions, recognized that it was necessary to have an agenda beyond the workplace, beyond just fighting the employer. And so the British Trade Union Congress, for instance, when it was established in the 1870s, launched campaigns to change legislation, to get rid of anti-union legislation, which is a familiar struggle today in many countries still. And obviously once unions begin to develop a political agenda, sometimes with a large P, the British Labour movement was, the British Labour Party was the product of the trade union movement, sometimes with a small p, as in Trinidad, where the trade union movement has not generated a party of its own. But of course, once unions begin to develop a political agenda, whether it's occupational safety and health, whether it's resisting discrimination on grounds of race or gender, inevitably the contradictions in society, you can see that those develop internationally as well. So the exploitation of labour in one country, once you look outside, you see the division between first world countries and developing countries, between north and south, and it's inevitable that the solidarity, which is central really to the concept of trade unions, should be extended overseas. And it's not surprising then that you see trade unions throughout the world supporting the struggle against apartheid in South Africa, liberation struggles in Africa, and in the Caribbean we've seen certainly solid support for Cuba, for Venezuela since Chavez, the Grenada Revolution, and of course unions are expressing concern about the genocide that is taking place in Palestine. And so it's really not surprising, and it flows naturally from that trade unions and the National Workers' Union would be very comfortable and very supportive of developing links to support Haiti, which has, as the comrade has said, a fundamental historical contribution to the development of struggle against slavery and apartheid and things like that. So one of the things that I'm hoping might come out of this evening is not just understanding more clearly what is happening in Haiti at the moment, because if you read the capitalist press and the BBC and CNN, you're only going to get stories about gangs and guns and violence. But of course, we all know that those things don't happen in isolation. They're a product of events. And we need to try and develop some solid links from a trade union point of view. European colonialism has left us with the gift of lots of languages in the Caribbean, which means that we can't easily talk to each other very often. And so, from a trade union point of view, I'm not aware, I have to confess, and it is a confession really, that I'm not aware of any unions in Haiti that we've ever had links with. And that may be one of the things that we could get out of this evening's activities, that we could establish some positive activity, particularly with links with trade unions. So, comrades, I just want to use that as an introduction. This is one of the reasons why the National Workers' Union very comfortable supporting the activities around the question of Haiti. Over to you.
Thank you, Dave. And thanks to the National Workers' Union for supporting and co-sponsoring this event. Our next speaker would be Mr. Pierre Labossiere, and Pierre is a founding member of the Haiti Action Committee, and has been an activist for well over 30 years, born in Haiti, and has been engaged in many, many struggles on behalf of the Haitian people. His bio is extremely long, so I will, like Malcolm said, I'll make it plain. I now introduce our brother Pierre Labossiere of the Haiti Action Committee. You have to unmute, Pierre. Unmute.
Okay, all right. It was a little slow. I'm so pleased. Thank you very much, Brother Akko. Thank you very much, Brother Dave. A real pleasure, and thank you everyone on the panel and the audience. I'm very excited to be part of Caribbean Dialogue 3. This is the kind of discussion we need to have, and as Dave said, to give it legs, to do follow-through, to actuate solidarity with each other throughout the Caribbean. Today in particular is a very significant day. Well, actually we're coming together, but to commemorate December 16th, which is 1990, which is a big milestone in Haiti. because this is the time that the Haitian people, for the first time, came out massively, overwhelmingly, in free, fair elections and elected a candidate that they themselves had drafted, had recruited, and campaigned for and put in office. There was a field of 11 candidates, and President Aristide, the parish priest, Father Aristide at the time, emerged as president with over 67% of the vote, first round. So no question about that. What's significant about this? It's because it was a long time coming. And it was the first democratic, free, fair elections in Haiti. And I emphasize that because it came at the price of blood. A lot of blood was shed to get to that day. We started, people know the history of Haiti, but for those who don't know, a quick recap. The land was the land of the Taínos and the Arawaks, and this is where Haiti and the Dominican Republic, it formed the same island, and the Spanish under Christopher Columbus invaded the island and massacred the inhabitants over the period of about 60 years or so. So from a population of about 1.5 million to 2 million, it was reduced after 60 years to about 50,000 according to some historians. But the spirit of resistance, the resistance carried out by the original Taínos and Arawaks, continued. And when the first Africans were kidnapped and enslaved and brought to Haiti, at that time Hispaniola, as Christopher Columbus renamed it, the Africans had joined forces, again, on the theme of solidarity, with the Taínos who were fighting against the Spanish. And Cacique Henry was one of the people who was leading that struggle, along with some of the Africans who joined him. So fast forward, plantation agriculture came in, the French took part of the island, which is present-day Haiti. The Spanish had the other part, which is present-day Dominican Republic. 1791, a massive uprising took place by our foremothers and forefathers. And after a 13-year war, 1804, Haiti declared itself an independent nation. Again, in the spirit of solidarity, declared itself a sanctuary nation, declared itself a land of freedom for all people, all oppressed people, particularly enslaved Africans and people of indigenous origin, who would come to Haiti, and Haiti would make them Haitian citizens, and Haiti would defend their freedom and their right to live as free human beings. As we fast forward to the present, from that time on, Haiti has always been a point of attack by the imperialists, and so the Haitian people have always resisted. And so what we have right now, the current situation, is the U.S. invaded Haiti in 1915. From 1934, their military occupation remained. After they left, they maintained domination over the country, and in the form of various dictators, but particularly one of the most brutal was the dictatorship of the Duvalier regime, father and son, Papa Doc Duvalier and Baby Doc Duvalier, from 1957 to 1986, when the Haitian people rebelled. When Baby Doc fled, he left in his stead a continuing dictatorship. So it was Duvalierism for Duvalier. Many thousands, tens of thousands of Haitians were killed, estimated to be about 50,000 during the Duvalier era. Later on, under the military dictatorship for the next 4 years, a lot of killing was taking place. Assassinations, mass killings. Why? Because people were demanding the right to vote. People were demanding the right to have access to the resources of their country, to the wealth of the country. People were demanding that their tax money be used to build schools, to build hospitals, to build to be of support to the Haitian peasantry, to our Haitian farmers, to be of support to create a system whereby everybody could live as in dignity, as human beings, and for the women to have not only freedom, but also the right to equality. Those were the demands of the movement. But it was a movement that was severely repressed and it was organized at the very grassroots level throughout that period. That's what led to the overthrow of Duvalier and continuing to struggle against the Haitian military dictatorship. And finally, it brought the people's movement to the elections of 1990. And so that was very significant. This movement was a movement that not only was taking place in Haiti, but it was also taking place in outside among the diaspora of Haiti. Haitians who had left Haiti, who had fled the dictatorship. People were coming together, particularly in New York, in Miami, in all the centers, and in other places in the Caribbean and other countries, actually overseas where Haitians were. People were organizing. There was a lot of consciousness raising. People were presenting ideas. And all of this, the Duvalier regime was fighting. So by 86, from 86 to 90, a lot of the songs, the artists were producing songs. All of that was creating this mass mobilization of the Haitian people. So that by 1990, the movement in Haiti had reached such a state and the baby had to be born, basically. The new Haiti had to be born. And so despite all of the pressures from the US, from the other imperialists who supported the Duvalier regime, who supported the dictatorship model, people came together, galvanized, with a lot of support, let me say this, from people in the Caribbean, from leaders and people of the Caribbean, many of them who had Haitian friends in the diaspora, who became aware of the situation. So all of this led to this massive movement, and in December 16th, 1990, the Haitian people voted massively, overwhelmingly, for President Aristide, for Father Aristide, the parish priest, to become president of Haiti. What's so significant about it? It was a milestone in the people's movement. It gave Haitian people not only pride but confidence that we were going to be able to change Haiti. Haitian refugees who had been abroad former refugees were now coming back to Haiti. People felt a sense of freedom. When President Aristide was inaugurated, during his inaugural, I'd always seen Haitian cops as being brutal, with guns, beating people. There was no such thing. The cops were not armed. They had white gloves, and they were doing crowd control completely in sync with the people. I'm raising this because today, this is the kind of stuff that we need. This is the kind of, relationship that we need, that had existed throughout the Aristide administration between the police that was created by the Famille Lavalas government, by President Aristide and Famille Lavalas government, and it was that relationship of the people and the police that was keeping peace in Haiti, and very effectively. Only by the time of the second coup, and I'm skipping here over a lot of things, but just to let you know that by the time of the second coup, there were only 5,000 policemen and women. About 1,000 of them had no weapons. But yet, there was peace in the country. This whole gang thing that we are hearing today, which is not really gangs, which are paramilitary death squads that are continuing to massacre our people, just like the Haitian military used to do. There was no such thing, you see, because peace was guaranteed, not only because of the people working together with the police, but also because of the social programs that the Famille Lavalas government had put into place for young people. Many schools were in operation. People were being engaged in the work of rebuilding the country. There was literacy program for the adults. There was also a program to teach young people skills that were useful for the country. So there was this atmosphere of peace and to rebuild the country in a peaceful way. But what happened first, now I'm dealing with after President Aristide became elected the first time in 1990, and he took office in 1991. There was a bloody coup organized by the U.S., and it was carried out by the Haitian military. Over 5,000 people killed. Solidarity from abroad. A lot of people became engaged, many of the leaders from the Caribbean. And I would say all of this was happening too, not only the election of 1990, but also the resistance to the coup. It was happening in the wake of the referendum on Namibia. At that time, you had enough of the leadership from the non-aligned movement that was engaged. And so in the wake of the victory of South Africa, in the wake of the victory with the Namibian referendum, Haiti followed suit. And many of these forces that had brought these about in Africa were actually lining up with Haiti, and in order to make sure that the Haitian people would have a taste of democracy. I wanted to introduce that because this is something very important. I'm going to close right now to say that what we are seeing today that is happening in Haiti, the so-called gangs, we the Haitian people are very familiar with this type of repression, but it has reached a level, unprecedented level right now in Haiti. And so what has been going on during the Duvalier years, you had the Tonton Macoutes that were paramilitary units to repress the people's desire to have democracy, to have a seat at the table, to form unions, to be able to demand higher wages. And when President Aristide was there, many of the people in the private sector were upset because he wanted a living wage for the workers in Haiti. And so that was one of the reasons for the two coups that took place. By 2000, the elections of 2000, President Aristide was again drafted to win by the people, and he won massively, overwhelmingly. Again, another coup by the U.S., 10,000 victims, and now counting, it's a lot more. So what we are seeing is that those paramilitary death squads, people have never accepted the coup d'etat of 2004. And those paramilitary death squads are there just to continue repressing the population, to terrorize people, and now they have found something new to confuse folks. It's to say that they are revolutionaries. Revolutionaries don't kill poor people. Revolutionaries are supposed to be standing in love. For example, today at the Aristide Foundation for Democracy, there was a gathering of the children for the Christmas holiday. They received toys. Also, in addition to that, they were given free medical care by the medical staff at UNIFA and other volunteer doctors who came to provide the children with health care. Now, this is part of a program that takes place by the Aristide Foundation for Democracy, along with UNIFA, University of the Aristide Foundation medical staff. They do it 3 to 4 times a year by providing free medical care for people. They don't just give you a pill and send you home. They establish a record, a medical record for each person they see, and the person receives not only treatment, but also a follow-up on the previous meeting that they had with them. So this is the kind of country that we are building. This is what President Aristide and Famille Lavalas party in their, during the last elections, their party platform called Investir dans l'humain, investing in people. And despite all of the bloodshed and all of that that's going on, the people of Haiti are continuing the path of rebuilding the nation. And I could go on, but I know there are many speakers and I want to respect everybody's time. And so please stand in solidarity with Haiti. Please stand in solidarity with the Haitian people. I want to thank each and every one for being there for us on this occasion. And Brother Akko, thank you so much for having initiated this dialogue, this solidarity. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Pierre. And we will move on to the next speaker, who is Mr. Margaret Prescott. Margaret Prescott was born in Barbados and emigrated to the United States as a teenager. They said that within 2 weeks of her arrival in the U.S., she was on a picket line protesting against a medical center in Brooklyn. So that tells you something about her personality and her willingness to take the fight to the enemy. She's an activist, an author, journalist, and a radio host. She was the founder of the Black Coalition Fighting Back Serial Murders and of Black Women for Wages and for Housework. She's on the executive board of the Center for the Study of Racism, Social Justice and Health at the UCLA's Fielding School of Public Health. She currently resides in California, but at the moment is in her hometown, Barbados. So I present to you Ms. Margaret Prescott, who has been in Haiti and has many stories to tell. One I heard that she's escaped on the back of a motorbike. So maybe she will tell us this.
A few times, I wish I could tell more of those stories today, Brother Ku. Thank you so much for organizing this, and really glad to see the brother from the trade union, the National Workers Union. We understand that there have been some struggles going on in Trinidad and Tobago right now around unions and workers' rights. And of course, our network in the Global Women's Strike, we were very supportive and did what we could, particularly our sisters in London, England. I should say that on the flyer, it says I'm a journalist. I can't deny that. That's true. I do host a nationally syndicated radio show on Pacifica Radio, which is non-commercial radio called Sojourner Truth. But before that, as you indicated, I have been, I guess, in the trenches and activist for a very, very long time. And before doing the work as a journalist with Black Women for Wages for Housework, and then 2000, the Global Women's Strike. And to just tell you a little bit about my work and our work in Haiti, because we work very collectively. And I think on the call with us, I'm not sure if she's on right now, is the widow of C.L.R. James, who wrote, if you haven't read Black Jacobins, I imagine a lot of you, particularly in the Caribbean region, we know of C.L.R. James, born and bred, so to speak, in Trinidad. And it was really with Selma's encouragement of telling all of us in the Global Women's Strike in the various countries where we are, that we really must do something about Haiti. We all owe a great debt to Haiti, and of course, those of us in the Caribbean region, we know that very well. And you know, I was looking back, Selma and Nina, if you're on the call, Pierre, looking back at a statement we did from Women in the Caribbean that I worked on with Andaye, the late, great Andaye of Guyana. And reading through that statement, I looked at it and was thinking, well, you know what? That was soon after 2004, and we got a lot of people in the Caribbean region, et cetera, to sign that statement. But it is so relevant in terms of not only historically, but what is going on today. And one of the things we said in the statement is that it is true everywhere that it is women and children who pay the highest price for the violence, including the violence of poverty, corruption, and greed. And that is also true in Haiti. It certainly is true in Palestine. And I do want to lift up the women and children and people of Palestine who are now being bombed out, who are being starved out. And we know about Palestine, and we must know about Palestine and stand up against the apartheid that is happening in that region. A lot of people know more today about Palestine than they do about Haiti, because Lavalas, which is the movement and the political organization headed by President Aristide, and Lavalas, Pierre, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it means flash flood, and that tells you something. It's a movement, from the bottom up, and what they have said is that there is a slow genocide going on in Haiti. It's very important for us to know that, a slow genocide. that is now going on in Haiti, and that is absolutely true. And we know that the grassroots women and children, just as something and I had in that statement in Haiti, particularly those who are the darker skinned, are the poorest of the poor and have had to struggle for so long. You know, one of the things, you're right, I've made several trips to Haiti representing the global women's strike, and also as a journalist for the work that I was doing with Sojourner Truth. And people will tell you, we are still trying to complete our revolution. We have 1804 as the date, but the Haitian grassroots know very well that for many, many years after that, up until today, they are still fighting for their freedom and their right to autonomy. And I just want to quote something from the great C.L.R. James, who said, and you know, everybody knows Black Jacobins, the great history of the Haitian Revolution, and C.L.R. said, and I'll quote him, "The transformation of slaves, trembling in hundreds before a single white man, into a people able to organize themselves and defeat the most powerful European nations." Note, he didn't say nation, he said nations of their day, is one of the great epics of revolutionary struggle and achievement. And then in our statement, after we quoted CLR, we said, we, meaning those of us in the Caribbean region, have always felt deeply that we must defend Haiti because Haiti is ours, and now we must act. So those of us in the region acting on behalf of Haiti didn't start 2 months ago or 2 weeks ago or whatever. This has been an ongoing interaction and situation, and the slave rebellions that happen in many of the islands, the other Caribbean islands, thanks to Haiti, including the Bussa Rebellion that happened here on the island of Barbados. It was a rebellion that was defeated, but all of us that got the word, enslaved people throughout the Americas, not only in the Caribbean region, but also in the United States. The Revolution of 1811, that is considered the largest slave rebellion that happened in the United States, and many others, a result of the Haitian Revolution. And in fact, a lot of the participants, and this happened in the New Orleans area, which wasn't just the city of New Orleans, but a whole region known as the New Orleans region, a lot of the slave masters who fled as a result of the Haitian Revolution and took their slaves with them. But what happened when the enslaved people got to the region, they started mobilizing across language, right, across region, and organized together. The Haitians and enslaved people in what is now called the United States together fomented that 1811 revolution. But you know what? When you read the history books, you're not going to read a lot about the 1811, right? And it's something that we really have to look up. So we have been, in terms of the region of the Americas, really involved with Haiti. We've benefited from Haiti really leading the way for ending slavery in the whole of the Americas. Those of you who have heard me speak before, I always have to lift up the work that the Haitians did in support of Bolivar, who was the liberator of Latin America. He took refuge in Haiti twice. The Haitians sent fighters, they sent weapons, and today there are places in the capital of Venezuela, in Caracas, where Haitians died for the liberation of Latin America. And the Haitians just had one request of Bolivar, which is that you stand against slavery, which Bolivar did in fact try to do, but the United States, well, you know how they are. They're continuing the role today that they played after the Haitian Revolution with leading the economic boycott, invading Haiti. I don't know how many times, robbing the banks of Haiti, Citibank today, which still exists today. But Pierre gave a lot of really important background. And I want to fast forward a bit to the, because I want to do two things. I want to say a bit about what my experience has been on the ground in Haiti. And as a global women's network, some of what we have tried to do together, Selma and Nina, Nina, who hails from Argentina, who co-coordinates the work of the Global Women's Strike with Selma, people like Sydney in Los Angeles, Eric, Payday Men's Network in Pennsylvania, Sarah from Women of Color and the Global Women's Strike, are just some of the people that when we send out our action alerts, and you know, the day-to-day grind that it takes when you're organizing to get the word out and to pull things together with our brothers and sisters in many different parts of the world, and who have sent greetings today. See so many of you today, our sisters and brothers in Peru, in Thailand, in India, in Ireland, many cities in the U.S. as well as the U.K., and I'm sure I'm leaving some out. But one of the I wanted to start a bit with the election, the first election of President Aristide, because that was a shock to many, including the mainstream media. What you call, brother, the capitalist media, I think you referred to them as, because it was, I don't think they really expected it. They also didn't expect the victory of Hugo Chavez in Venezuela either, frankly speaking. They were talking about some beauty queen or something like that winning that election, and the grassroots people were saying, no, I'll tell you, it's going to be Hugo Chavez. So soon after that, his election, you all likely know there was the first coup fomented by the United States. And I just like to tell this story real quick because it gives a sense of not only the character of President Aristide, First Lady Mildred Aristide, is that the upper class, the 1% of Haiti, were absolutely outraged by, first of all, who he was, and the sense of solidarity that he had with the Haitian grassroots, which is really the majority of impoverished Haitians. And one small thing that really ticked them off among a lot of things, but was that the presidential palace or whatever they had a pool. And President Aristide opened the palace, and all the little street children and whatnot, they could come in and they could play in the pool. And these people were outraged. I mean, they were outraged by him demanding restitution from France, right? That was a no-go, right? But opening the pool to these dirty children, that was like beyond the pale. But that really says a lot. It seems like it's a small thing, but it really was not. And with Creole becoming the official language, the number of schools that then opened up across the country, the literacy programs that kept going, and some of whom are still going today. So as far as the United States, France, and the rest of them, the so-named core group, they have always used Haiti. And we said that right after the coup in 2004, the kind of a whipping board. Haiti is not supposed to be a success, because Haiti being a success is a threat to the powers that be, because oppressed people, wherever they are in the world, whether it's Palestine or whether it's Ireland or whatever, if you have some impoverished people without a pot to piss in that were able to not only defeat the most powerful army of its day, Napoleon's army, but they already sent his brother-in-law de Klerk to set business straight. The Haitians defeated him as well. And then when the British came in, and I know about the British, because Barbados, where I'm from, born and raised, is the only place in the world ruled by England for 350 years straight without ever changing hands, and they were extremely brutal. But the Haitians took care of them as well. So Haiti was a threat, interdicting slave ships, freeing slaves, and defeating all of these big-time European armies. So everything was done to make sure that Haiti would be punished, that Haiti could not be an example for liberation, for the liberation of people wherever they're oppressed around around the world. So if you want to figure out part of what is happening in Haiti today, and people are saying, well, the revolution was a long time ago and all of that happened before my time, but you know what? These capitalists, they have a very, very long memory. They don't forget this stuff, and they understand the significance of Haiti and the significance of what Haiti was supposed to do. So that Pierre was absolutely right that December 16th, 1990, when you had this little parish priest, liberation theologist elected, was just like significant, not only for Haiti, but significant for the Caribbean region. All right? Remember, some of y'all remember CLR and Selma, the work that happened around the Federation that never happened in the Caribbean region. You know, we have CARICOM, but let me tell you, CARICOM is no federation, okay? That was not the kind of thing people were trying to put together. So when Haiti stood up and Haiti rose up, and you have this liberation theologist priest talking about the poor and uplifting the poor and doing whatever he can for the impoverished people, that was seen as a threat to the United States and the rest of them. Fast forward a bit, one of the visits that I was able to go to with Haiti, and actually it was with Ndaye, there was an election going on because, well, there was 2015, an election in 2015, there was an election in 2016. I have to skip through a lot. A lot happened in between that, but there's just no time. And if you go to the Haiti Action website, HaitiSolidarity.net, you'll be able to get a lot of that history. But I have to say, too, a lot of people, they research, say, well, Margaret, I've researched Haiti. I've looked online, I've Googled and whatnot. Be careful who you believe when you're reading about Haiti. There's something in the United States that they call COINTELPRO during the civil rights and the militant black period, where efforts were made to undermine those movements, to spread all kinds of lies and confusion and get people confused. Right, so that even when they were fomenting the 2004 coup against President Aristide, so much of the soul name left in the United States, they were confused. Well, I know people say there's a problem with Aristide, all of this kind of mess. So you have to be very, very careful who you read, who you listen to, the news outlets that you try to watch, which is why I'm so happy that some of these events are happening now in the Caribbean, these webinars, and Pierre Labossiere, I can't say enough about Pierre Labossiere. He's our point of reference when it comes to Haiti. There's very little that we do. Somebody tell us so-and-so doing some good work done on the ground in Haiti. We want to find out what the contacts in the movement of the ground in Haiti have to say, because there are a lot of operations going on. You have to keep your eyes in the front of your head, the back of your head, and all around your head to try to figure out what is going on. So there was a mess with that 2015 election. There was so much bribery and theft and confusion that they had to redo the election in 2016. And PHTK, the party of Martelly, of Jovenel Moise, and half of them now that are in the Transitional Council, including this last one, the Prime Minister that was gotten rid of, Cornell, they're all PHTK. They're all that particular political party, even when they don't say that they're part of that political party. And that political party has a relationship with the United States, with the State Department and U.S. policy in relation to Haiti. And I can't tell you how many people I speak to in the Caribbean region. Some of them are high up, some of them not so high up, some of them in CARICOM or not in CARICOM, who have a hard time believing that the United States is pulling what it is pulling in Haiti. They're shocked by it. Oh, no, the United States can't be involved with that. How you think that this man, Pierre, talked about somebody being put forward as a revolutionary? I'll say the name. This guy, Barbecue, Jimmy Chazelle, right? I was in La Saline at the risk of the life of my assistant producer in La Saline following the massacre of more than 70-something people that this barbecue organized. Don't come in my face and try to tell him and promote him as any revolutionary. And what the hell is he doing meeting in the U.S. Embassy, one of the largest embassies in the world, made out of marble? People say, why do the United States need such a big embassy in Haiti? Okay, what is he doing there? All right, you can't tell me that there isn't any relationship between the undermining of a Haitian solution to what's going on the ground right now. All of these weapons, high-powered weapons, high-caliber weapons that could, that impoverished people have their hands on, that these Western powers don't have their hands in it. So just be careful. Then we're hearing what these people have to say and what they're going to believe and what they're not going to believe. If they're going to believe the United States saying, we have nothing to do with it. All I know is when I had organized, it was part of a delegation that included Danny Glover, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, some human rights attorneys, Pierre Labossiere, etc. And because we were with a congresswoman, some of us went into the embassy. Some of us didn't go in the embassy, but some went in there. And in leaving, I can tell you, somebody gave me a message that they didn't want anybody to hear that they were telling me, and said, we know it's not gangs. But we already knew it wasn't gangs. We already knew it was the death squads and the Tonton Macoute and the rest of them. So that is what is going on the ground right now. And with this transitional council, we have to see how it goes. But all I know is that I saw an article very, very recently where they were trying to attack Lavalas and said, oh, Lavalas, they're, not doing, what they should be doing. They got rid of Canal, Leslie Voltaire, who's now they do a revolving, they do the same thing in CARICOM where they have one person to head up the council for 3 months. I think it's 3 months. Pierre would tell me if it's a bit longer, and then somebody else happens. But there are things happening on the ground in Haiti that you're not really gonna hear. I don't know. Are y'all still hearing me? Are you having a problem with my sound?
We're hearing you.
You hearing me? Okay.
Yeah, we're hearing you.
What I was about to say, there are things happening on the ground. There's a shift happening on the ground in Haiti, but you would never know it if you're reading the Miami Herald or the New York Times or the Washington Post or even some of the media here in the region. Some of the work that's happening at UNIFA, the University of the Aristide Foundation, is amazing. You never hear about that. You never hear about all the doctors and the lawyers and the nurses and the agronomists that they're graduating there. Mildred Aristide, President Aristide, the thousands of graduates that they have had, and the hospital that they have built, a teaching hospital on that campus. And what I want to know is, where is the University of the West Indies? What is the University of the West Indies? Any of y'all on this call got access or contacts with the University of the West Indies? What are they doing to support UNIFA and the amazing work that they are doing on the ground? There are things that are positive that are happening against all odds. Some of that is happening in UNIFA. Some of the work that the Global Women's Strike has done supporting the women in the South who are doing agricultural work, doing the work of trying to feed people, right? They need money. They need money. They need support. They need practical support. The environment is being totally messed up in Haiti, and there are efforts happening in India and in other places of soil regeneration and other things that could be extremely useful to rebuild the soil and help people on the ground in Haiti. Some of the even the same barbecue barely escaped. I heard he had to escape. I don't know if this is true or not, because you know how it is, but they said he had to run through the sewers. But no, you don't see any of that. You just see the gangs are growing, the gangs are growing, the gangs are growing, and you never hear any of the more positive things that are happening against all odds, including trying to set up a body to get elections going, to get more gas, to the people, things like that, to improve some of the security. Lauren, I did look at my watch. I'm sure I'm probably out of time now. But just to say that for those of us on the outside, we cannot underestimate the grassroots movement on the ground in Haiti, the resilience of that movement, the skill of those people to survive for all of these hundreds of years and to survive what they are doing right now, despite the fact that about 1 million are displaced. The children, because of poverty now, are being recruited into these, these so-named death squads. But don't underestimate that movement. Don't think that those of us on the outside know better than the Haitian grassroots themselves. We need to listen. People are saying they don't need any occupying force coming in, that if the United States and France and the rest of them would stop undermining the movement, that the Haitians can take care of business. They've taken care of business before, but they're undermined at every turn that they make. They're being undermined. So for those of us in the region that are on this call and have contacts with people on that can really help to do something, we do have to do something. That is one of, we can't do nothing. Because one of the things we said, I was trying to find the quote, I wanted to just end with that, because one of the things that Andaya and I had put in the statement is that if you want a measure of the freedom of the rest of us, not only in the Caribbean region, but freedom of people around the world, look at what's happening in Haiti. Because if Haiti ain't free, the rest of us might think we're free because we got a little something, and Christmas time you got some food to give the children or whatever. But none of us will be free if Haiti is not free. So I want to thank Pierre, I want to thank the Haitian grassroots and all of you who are here trying to figure out what to do. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Margaret.
Thank you.
And another prayer from the Book of Revolution, Jose Marti. In a time of crisis, the people of the world must rush to know each other. So today, we are trying to know each other and to know the Haitian people. And so our next speaker would be our illustrious senator, independent senator from Trinidad and Tobago, Ms. Suniti Maharaj. She is a journalist by profession, a former editor of the Express newspaper, one of the national newspapers of Trinidad and Tobago. She's also a former managing director of the Lloyd Best Institute of the Caribbean. She still is currently on the board of that institute. Ms. Maharaj has been active in the support of many causes and commented on many issues in Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean. She's currently serving as an independent senator in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, appointed by the President of the Republic. She will share her experience with us during that period of 1990, helping to put that election together. I now introduce to you Senator Suniti Maharaj of Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you, Akko. And it's such a joy to be here today. On 16th of December, 1990, I don't think anybody could have imagined what Haiti would be like on the 21st of December, 2024. I spent most of that day driving out into the countryside with my husband. He was there as a special advisor to the UN resident rep, who was coordinating and organizing and trying to get Haiti to a democratic election. That was, the UN person was a man called Reinhard Helmke. And one of his gifts was that he could speak Haitian Creole. That day, it was clear as we drove out of Port-au-Prince, and I had done a lot of, in the preceding days, wow. Let me just, are you hearing that noise? A passing microphone. Okay. In the preceding days, I had spent a lot of time meeting people. I was producing a print documentary of Haiti going to its first democratically held election. And the purpose of the publication was to connect the English-speaking Caribbean to Haiti. Because historically, the English-speaking Caribbean has interpreted Haiti through the lens of the American media. So you would hear people in the English-speaking Caribbean talking about the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, Haiti, this, in those terms. And what I did was talk to a number of people from the English-speaking Caribbean who had gone to Haiti, and they had lives and they had, involvement with communities and businesses and so on as a normal part of the Caribbean, in order to create a connection that we knew the alienation that the English-speaking Caribbean has had simply because of the colonial history of divide and rule and conquer. It was clear everywhere you went, you saw the signs. Qualité, Aristide, and in Port-au-Prince was completely innocent and ignorant to what was happening outside. The historic power group, what they call the Haitian elite, was consumed with the idea that Marc Bazin would win that election. And what it was the absolute inability to see Haitians. They did not think that Haitians would come out to vote, but the Haitians, the grassroots Haitians throughout Haiti had finally found a candidate. But the elites in Port-au-Prince, they were not paying attention. They didn't even factor them into the equation. And so, as the results came in, you saw the Lavalas break free. It was an avalanche of support. Even before Aristide was inaugurated, there was an attempted coup. And I remember what was so amazing about that is that I had just come not too long from a country where there was an attempted coup, Trinidad and Tobago. In Port of Spain, we had had an attempted coup, very unusual for Trinidad. We did not imagine such a thing could happen because we too do not pay attention to the underlying revolutionary conditions running throughout the entire Caribbean that could any day pop up and just come through a fissure in the reality that we live. And I had a totally different experience. When the members of the Jamaat al-Muslimin went to the parliament and held the prime minister and several members of the cabinet hostage and other MPs, for about 5 days, it was July 27, 1990, and they were ultimately released on August 1st. People stayed at home. There was a curfew and state of emergency. There were quite a number of curfew parties, and people were talking on their phones and exchanging jokes and so on. And there were some people calling for the death of the prime minister. When it happened in Haiti, it happened in the night, sometime just before Christmas, I think. I am just going on memory here. And what I first heard, well, of course, there was a call for the UN. The UN would call all its people and say, something is happening, there's an attempted coup, and there's a lockdown, and so on. But you could hear from a distance a rumble. And what that rumble, as it got closer and closer, was hundreds of thousands of people who picked up sticks and machetes and anything they could get and went down to the palace to protect Aristide. Lives were lost, but they triumphed. And Aristide went on. I don't know if Mr. Labossiere can corroborate this incident. But Aristide went on, and there was the inauguration, and it was a global inauguration. Leaders from all over the world came that day. including Michael Manley from Jamaica, who was the chairman of CARICOM at the time. And that was significant because a big part of the taking Haiti towards democratic elections that the UN was, they were managing, was to build into that a role for CARICOM as a representative of the Haitian people working with the Haiti government. We had so many, my husband Lloyd Best was playing as a special advisor, representing and insisting that CARICOM be the first point of call in dealing with Haiti. And CARICOM is not, and Haiti is not just at the behest of the US and France, that there is a community that surrounds Haiti, that, and the idea that it was that that relationship will be built. And that is what Michael Manley was there representing. And part of what eventually came out in the publication as a joint CARICOM UNDP publication, it was the publication I worked on. It was produced as a newspaper, not as a magazine, and it was inserted in newspapers, the daily newspaper in English-speaking Caribbean. It came out simultaneously, Trinidad, Jamaica, Guyana, Barbados, and Eastern Caribbean, and it was to make that connection with Haitians and English-speaking Caribbean routine, normal, very much human people just like ourselves. Fast forward to the, of course we know what happened. Soon after, I think Aristide did visit Trinidad on his way to, I think, maybe a UN meeting. But the undermining of that revolutionary development, the first real chance that Haiti had of having a democratic government and getting on that path, which no one could imagine would be easy, but the Haitian people were ready, and it was not, you would not think that an election that had been, and a leader that had been so popularly elected could be so swiftly undermined. His term could be so swiftly undermined, and that so many years later, his name is almost never called. The obliteration of Aristide and what he has meant has been so deeply undermined by the reporting of his tenure and all the stories that came out of that, that he's unpopular and people are marching. Well, all over the world, democratic election governments are under pressure. People march, but that is their right. And nobody kidnaps you for that. Nobody sends a plane to pick up the prime minister and ferret them out of the country and deny them their right to return. So we know what happened. We also understand that the CARICOM did not stand for Aristide. In fact, some of the countries were used in the transportation of Aristide out of Haiti and sent to Africa. So I won't go through too much except to say there was a moment again when CARICOM got involved. I think I might have been, it was before the earthquake, and there was yet another, I think, removal of president. CARICOM went in, and the Haitian government offered CARICOM, in my memory, about what I remember, 20 acres of land in Leogane, that it could put up a CARICOM presence. And the case was argued, certainly by me, that what was an important component of establishing that relationship was the establishment of a media bureau that could report on Haiti for the Caribbean and not have events in Haiti reported to us from the US and from Europe and France and so on. And that never happened. I think instead of taking the land and establishing that presence, CARICOM leaders decided just to give Haiti, I think the Trinidad government pledged like $20 million and just dispensed of that, which I think was a huge mistake. So today, when we hear about CARICOM, the last intervention that was made, Haitians were very brutal in their assessment of the CARICOM intervention. The recent one this year, asking who are these people and why are they trying to determine our future from a room in Jamaica? They weren't even in Haiti. And the Haitians just dismiss it. And I think that is a historic failure on the part of CARICOM. And I don't think our leaders even begin to understand Haiti. And it is very much has to do with the fact that we don't have those connections of people to people. And nor do we have independent media. In terms of what, fast forward into the current period, I have been a very strong advocate for a Haitian solution, and the insistence on giving Haiti the space and giving these different groups the space and the support to work out their issues, to come to a point. But the violence has crippled, I'm guessing, a lot of that. How do you establish the means to arrive at a Haitian solution when the guns and the terror upon people, ordinary people, upon women, upon children, just to survive is a day's challenge. How do you get around it? How do you get there? What we do here at the Lloyd Best Institute, we do what we can do. We try to keep in touch with groups and with people. We support a school that was burned down. And recently they've been trying to, get money, and, we would send some money, but I would encourage anybody who is interested to do what they can. Give people the means, because this is a school in Port-au-Prince, one of these, it's set up by the drummer Zambao, Louis Marcelin, I think is his, what we call government name in Trinidad, and his wife Mireille. And after over a year, they're trying to bring the children back to have some kind of structure. And I'm sure they're not the only one, but if you can find something you can support and help as patients and try to find their footing, you do what you can. I'm not sure that I could see any way that that CARICOM can, the CARICOM can mount a defense. There is the instability, the violence, the quite cynical resort to the Kenyan police, and that has collapsed from what I'm reading. People are not getting paid. They're probably trying to figure out how to get out. And so this is the same long sordid story of the interventions and the undermining of the Haitian Revolution, the dishonorable undermining, because I can't think of anything more dishonorable than you trying to meet Toussaint and invite him to a meeting and kidnap him and carry him and leave him in a French prison. Where is the honor in any society that is pretending to be civilized? So we are dealing with a crisis of proportions that even Haitians don't want to be called resilient now, because they find that people expect them to be resilient. They are desperate. They're just trying to hold their life together, survive from one day to the next. And so to the extent that we can get things like medicine, food, a few dollars in people's hands, when the gangs are roaming in Port-au-Prince, people are they want a little bit of money to be able to pay somebody to take them out to the pays they are. And even there, the gangs have begun to invade those areas. So and the UN has lost all credibility. I can tell you that in that period, in the election of 1990, the PNUD, which is, of course, UNDP and the French program, or whatever, was so popular. People trusted the UN, right? And they very much trusted Mr. Helmker from my own assessment, or listening and watching. And yes, the UN did a good thing in carrying them to that election. But what the UN has done since, and its refusal to apologize for the cholera epidemic, because apologizing probably means damages of some kind. All these things have made Haitians lose faith in the rest, in everybody. They have no faith in the people who are imposed on them as presidents. They have seen people they elect undermine, and not just Aristide, the one who came in, and he's no big leader or anything, but Sweet Mickey was imposed on them by the Americans, right? We've heard the Clintons apologize for the kinds of policies that they pursued that destroyed the Artibonite, the rice bowl of Haiti, in favor of dumped American rice. All of these things are facts. The New York Times had a long series in which the French ambassador, the one who had, retired, admitted that they played with the Americans in kidnapping Aristide. Admitted, and among the factors was his call at the UN for reparations. They saw that as a threat. They were threatened by that. Today, people accept that, yeah, you're going to have to come up with reparations, but that's the lavalas they were trying to prevent in that period in the early 2000s. So the Haitians have no one that they feel they can rely on or trust. Maybe some individuals that they might trust. They need the means to survive. So anyone who knows anybody who can just keep them going while somehow a solution, enough people can organize themselves, enough interests outside can organize to assist to get to the point where we can roll back these gangs. I don't know. It is never an idea that gangs will somehow kill off each other. They just seem to fuel the growth of new ones. There's a vacuum, a power vacuum that they have claimed. They own things, they own ports now. They own, they can go anywhere they want. Police stations, courthouses, they're in charge. And they're being allowed to stay in charge. So I think I would wrap it there and, leave it open for further discussions.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Senator Maharaj. We will pause for a question and answer session for about 15 minutes. And then we would hear from the other speakers, including Reverend Lomax, Brother Yussi Kwayana, and Sister Yaya Marin Coleman of Belize. So please ask questions and don't make statements, okay? So we'll open for a few moments, about 15 minutes for questions, and then we move into the solidarity messages from the other speakers and commentary. So questions, the house is open for questions.
Hello? Yeah.
Who is identifying, please?
Ray Samuel from National Workers Union.
Okay, Ray Samuel from National Workers Union. Yes, Ray?
Good evening. I've been asked a question. I want to make a suggestion. Based on the history of organization in Trinidad and Tobago, I think, I wrote in the comment box, I think we want to go the way of primary sources. This is from Barbados, and Mr. Lee made a very important point about the disinformation that comes from the established media. Back in the day with the anti-apartheid movement, we used to have people moving around, meeting the organizations and meeting the communities. I want to suggest, extent that is possible, it does not have to be a Haitian person, that's what I'm saying, but somebody who can directly present to community groups, to trade union groups, to students, which immediately counters the disinformation from the imperialist industry and also mobilizes people. In other words, having come to such a session, as I said about anti-apartheid days, people just come together, share ideas, and concretize the struggle. Concretize. Because one of the problems we have in our modern culture, many of us feel we can win this thing on Facebook. It's not going to work like that. So I would like to put that in the mix. Some way somebody could
Tony,
back in the day.
when you finished? No, I'm saying there's a hand up for a question. But before we go to Tony, I saw someone post in the chat here Jeff Sprague's articles online. So let me let you know now on February 2nd, we are going to have a webinar with Jeff Sprague in which we are going to deal with militarization in the Caribbean, or militarism in the Caribbean, around his book. And he has a book called Militarism and Democracy in Haiti. So he confirmed today that it will be available on February 2nd. So we will have Jeff Sprague. So put that in your calendar, please. Tony, yes?
Hi, it's my husband. It's his website. I'm Carolyn Scott. I work committee. American vouch for me. I am interested in the actions of the United Nations. One of the first actions of the United Nations was to okay the war against North Korea. And if you read Stone's book about Korea, you can see that that was a wrong thing to do. There's a more modern book than Stone, but that's okay. Stone is another thing that the United Nations has done is to create Israel on land that belonged to somebody else. And so I think we need to very carefully look at the role of the United Nations and promoting more Western and European-based imperialism. And now as far as who can help Haiti, Haiti Emergency Relief Fund is based in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we raise money for Haiti, for the hospital, and for all the things that Aristide is doing still. And also Pierre knows where to make sure that the money goes. So, anyway, if you're looking for ways to get money directly into the hands of Haitian revolutionaries, talk to Pierre and get in touch with Haiti Emergency Relief Fund. Thank you very much for this lovely.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? It seems we have more comments than questions.
Greetings, Sister Anna Marie Coleman, Belize. I keep asking the same question over and over because I can't. So please name the credible sources where people could get information from. By repetition, we have to keep repeating the sources.
I don't know if Pierre wants to respond. I know the Haiti Action Committee is one, and it's a very important question because, and I let Pierre respond, but let me just make a comment because that question was posed to me recently. Why some people from the Haitian community are not involved in some of the things that they should be involved. And I had to tell one person, I give them, this an African code. And it said that when the axe came to the forest, the tree said, "Worry not, Handle is one of us." And Handle and axe proceeded to chop the forest down. And so you have a lot of people who are supposedly progressive Haitian nationals who are very questionable in how they approach this thing. And so the question is valid, and I think Pierre could speak to that, but also Senator Maras made a point that we don't really, when CARICOM had an opportunity to do something about it, they didn't do anything about it. You know, so Pierre, I don't know if you want to respond to recommend some aggressive voices or sources that we can get information.
Yes, definitely. My own organization, Haiti Action Committee, www.haitisolidarity.net. We're also on Facebook, Haiti Action Committee, Facebook. And also, I would highly recommend Kevin Pina's Haiti Info Page. Haiti, this is a Twitter account, or as they call it now, X. You just write Haiti Info Page. Haiti, Haiti Info, INFO, Proj, PROJ. And it will get you right to the, and those are the two, I would say, give very accurate, very good information on Haiti.
You put it in the chat?
Yes, I will do that. I will do that. Yes.
I find Black Agenda report to be pretty reliable too. I don't know how to feel about Black Agenda report.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, any other questions? No? Okay, if there are none, we can move on to our next speaker, who is Sister Yaya Maureen Coleman.
That's not what the agenda, sorry, agenda was on me next, but if you say something, I'll go.
Sister Yaya Maureen Coleman of Belize. She is described in one article as very efficient, very productive, and very radical. She's a journalist, activist, and has been involved in promoting Belize. She's a Belizean to the core, Belize, but also has an interest in what is taking place in the country. She's also a grassroots journalist in Belize, Central America, and she makes the point all the time that sometimes we forget that Belize is part of the Caribbean. So I don't want to make that error this evening. So I invite you to listen to Sister Yaya Maureen Coleman from Belize. Unmute, please.
Greetings from Belize, Belizeans at home and abroad. I consistent for talking a Creole. This is our Caribbean dialogue. And Creole, regardless of where we come from, there are a mixture of indigenous African and European. So I see it as a language of resistance. And so anytime Caribbean people meet, if people want to talk for we language, then they go pay somebody for translate for them, because it's a for we time for get together. We talk to for we people in the region and globally. Anytime we think Caribbean, we often think of Haiti or Cuba, but they're for we kin folks. And like where African ancestors and ancestors say, when they fight for the liberation, they fight for all our liberation. Ahead of the colonizers, the UK and the US, African people for the touchdown here or the free. So we owe it, they are really for we kin folk, for we family member. The boat just dropped at different places in the Caribbean. So the majority of the people of the Caribbean, the African descendants racialized as black people, and we have one duty, one obligation. XTV gave one interviewed Elder Ako and Sister Malene Thursday night. On out of one, Elder Ako said the Patterson that like one mantra that anywhere where African people they catch hell from colonialism or imperialism, we need to set out to communicate that 2 or 3 we have that duty. So the time why I give then give me which about 3 more minutes now on solidarity statement. I work with the only African black owned media house in the region. Amanda newspaper 55 years, Creme Radio 35 years, the organization where I lead with we mantra for the liberation of African people racialized as black people, UBAD Educational Foundation 28 years, and XTV 21 years. XTV currently they broadcast this live on XTV local channel, on XTV Belize YouTube, XTV Belize Facebook page, and the Amandala newspaper, the last one for this year, come out yesterday, Friday. We had one flyer of this webinar. We had the agenda for the webinar. And so if that the way we could do, there's not no other black owned media house like we know in the region. No, that not every time I go to my people they could give me airtime or could give me space in the newspaper. But they make them best effort to do that. And so that the whole we offer for we solidarity. For say to the people that indeed only the people could change, only the people could save the people. In the past, when there was the earthquake, another media house and Creme Radio had one Belizean concert, we raised money and give it to the Red Cross. At the time, we never know Red Cross got problems. Whenever Haiti Flag Day for the past 2 years, UEF has done a community action on it. We have the Wake Up Medi's Morning Vibes. This past Wednesday was 21 years. It's the morning talk show. I've had Brother Pierre as a guest. I've had Brother Nigel Westmas from from Guyana, Vega Pardon, from Guyana, to talk about what happened on the ground at Haiti. Sister, after we had the last webinar in October, I'm like, okay, we always meet and with the talk, what we and the different as people from the Caribbean. I said, okay, if I start on WhatsApp chat group, enough people say yes, we start on WhatsApp chat group and that the whole as a collective and give thanks, especially the Guyana delegation, the massive work. And I saw me send out the letter of solidarity in November. It was a learning experience for me. And also Sister Margaret Prescott had Sister Charlene Wilkerson from Guyana and myself on the Sojourner Truth podcast, KPFK Pacifica Radio. And so this is the way we did look for. We did look for more, like right now they have 75 people on this webinar. And I have to acknowledge our organization, UBAD Education Foundation, we get to rename UBAD from the parent organization, 1969, 1974, cultural organization, political organization, was United Black Association for Development. It was sisters and brothers. They had people like Sister Penny Casasola, one of the original UBAD sisters that on this call right now, Sister Dr. Elma Augustine, we had Sister Nzinga, we had Brother Evan X Hyde, Brother Rufus X, Brother Shabazz, and so because that only like black owned organization that they start the Amanda newspaper 55 years ago at the time of colonial rule, then go look for news all over the world, both black people. So you have to carry on the work of the parent organization UBAD. So I want to know that, Caribbean people, especially with the bottom up people, I don't deal with CARICOM and UWI because they're not African Saxon people. They're more European and the damn European themselves. And they're not top-down people. We know, just like Alafalas, with the grassroots, the people have more power than the people in power. And if we really know that, believe that, and act on that. So, Elder Akko and everybody will organize this. Like we African ancestors and ancestors happy with we right now that we do this collective from all over the Caribbean and in the diaspora. Don't forget people in the diaspora, Caribbean and the diaspora mean that they're not still, link with we and support we. So I really want to say thanks to everybody on a continuous share their link. Remember, you can go to XTV Belize YouTube, XTV Belize Facebook, and we open to work with credible people. All my skin folk aren't my kin folk. I tell you that right now. So I really want to say thanks to myself, thanks to the Creator, our African ancestors and ancestors, and always remember say, we Haitian sisters and brothers, only the people want to save the people.
Thank you, Sister Yaya. Yes, and XTV from Belize is currently broadcasting this live and also organize interviews, and we must thank them for their keen interest in what we are doing and for their expression of solidarity with Haiti. Congratulations to XTV and to Sister Yaya Marin Coleman of Belize. And our next speaker will be our elder. We'll ask Brother Lomax to just summarize after. Would be our elder, Brother UC Kwayama, who when he heard about this said he's coming. So, and when Brother UC said he's coming, who am I to say no? So, I now introduce you to elder brother UC Quayana. Brother Quayana's history can be about 4 books. So I will just introduce him. You all know him as patriotic Guyanese, man who has been involved in the struggle for decades, imprisoned by the British during the overthrow of the progressive government of Chetty Jagan, a member of the PNP, the PPP, PNC, and the WPA. And one of the things people don't know is this too, that the 3-party songs of all the parties in Guyana, he was the man who composed them. So it gives you an idea of his versatility, his longevity, and his commitment to struggle and the people of Guyana. So I now introduce Brother UC Quayana to share his wisdom and knowledge with us. Brother UC.
Thank you, Brother Aku. Sisters and brothers, good evening.
Good evening, Elder.
I come from an older generation, so you must bear with me. I may be a bit old-fashioned in some of the things I say and propose, but we are all one concerning the desired outcomes we want to see in Haiti. I am very proud to be associated on this virtual platform with Sojourner Truth, Sister Prescott, with Sister Mirage, whom I'm meeting for the first time, of whom I heard very good reports and her own voice tonight. And the late Andaye, who is with us here, although not visible. It is she who, in our time, when there was a rebellion at Point Saline, addressed the Guyanese people on the significance of Haiti, which, of course, had been misinterpreted and maligned there as everywhere else, on the platforms of the Women and the Working People's Alliance. I'm also glad to recall that there was a time when I lived in San Diego with my late wife, Chico, when occasionally I went to Los Angeles in the evening to a solidarity meeting organized by the branches of the Global Women's Strike, of whom Selma James is a root organizer. I first became acquainted with the Jameses, CLR, and Selma James and their little son Sam then in 1959. Yes, that was not this century. I used to go down to Los Angeles in the evening, and Sister Sydney would pick me up at the railway station and take me to the meeting and take me back to the railway station at the end of it so that I could get back to San Diego. I am grateful to all the recollections and clarifications previous speakers have made. Brother Pierre Tabasson is someone I speak with frequently. And it is he that has educated me very much about Haiti in reality. I also had the pleasure before I went sightless, as I am now. I can't read, so don't attack me for my illiteracy. I also had the pleasure of reading that book by Mildred Aristide on social conditions in Haiti, including a lot of children. And I can understand why that aspect of the Caribbean middle class that is Haitian would feel the way they feel about Bertrand Aristide, the revolutionary priest. Those sentiments are not strange to me at all. Tonight I am not going to attempt to interpret what happened in Haiti. All of you here know much more about it than I do. What I want to do tonight is to put Haiti in a kind of context. Let me dramatize it by saying that about 6 months ago, a colleague of mine from Guyana, with whom I was active, he was a developer of agriculture, land movement, and cooperatives, in which I was also very interested. He assured me that Aristide, when I asked him about Haiti, he assured me that Aristide was in Montreal and had 12 vehicles at his disposal. And he was certain of that. So the propaganda against Aristide is not finished. It's not ended. He told me that it's probably the first falsehood that I've heard from his lips. Now I want to make a slight reference to a meeting before I come to my main point, which I want to make tonight. In San Diego, I used to attend meetings with my dear wife, late wife, who was a teacher. She was an English teacher who taught English through life, and whose classroom was a liberation forum, learning all the technical arts, but not out of context. We went to a meeting one night dealing with education, and a woman of European descent got up and introduced herself, put a question to the speaker, and described herself as an interrupter. And in explaining what she meant, she said, in her words, talking about herself, "I interrupt white people." She said her job was to interrupt white people because she was in education and she knew that they talked and believed so much nonsense that she appointed herself the role of an interrupter. When I look at Haiti today and this so-called transitional government that they have, one hears, to whom do they report? We don't know to whom they report. They report to somebody who appointed them. I think it is on some website. I tried to get friends to tell me what was on the website, and I had a list of them. And most of them don't sound very Haitian to me, but France is there. Just fancy. France, the oppressor of Haiti, is on her core group. This core group is a group
similar to France, very much similar to France. And the last name I heard on the core group was Haiti's controversial neighbor. Now, what does this core group do? I want to suggest that forums like this, virtual forums like this, can play a very, no, that would make it sound as if this is not useful. It can play an even more useful role by appointing itself as an interrupter of the core group. You have to interrupt the core group. The core group is there almost enjoying the prestige of the United Nations. I don't even think CARICOM is a member of it, but France is a member of it. Now, what interest do the French have in Haiti except to block justice and prevent the payment, the repayment, and the return of the ransom? So in suggesting that we do something to make sure that there is this role of interrupting the core group being played and forcing the core group by well-known ways to respond publicly to the world. Nobody has time for Haiti now when the Gaza Strip is going on, and now Syria and Lebanon. We need an interrupter in this hemisphere, even a virtual interrupter that will interrupt the core group and make it answer. Because one thing we know nowadays, questions when put cannot be evaded. I want to make a few recommendations, and that is all I want to do. If they are rejected, I understand. We come from different worlds, and I may be suffering from some sort of delusions that don't affect your generation. I want to suggest, first of all, that when a meeting of this kind is held, if it is relevant, that we agree or someone volunteers to document it and write a summary of what it has achieved, what has been presented here, if necessary. That is one. Secondly, I want to suggest that in some way we appoint one or more persons to follow up on the discussions we have had. Why? So that a resolution can be drafted and perhaps approved by circulating it and then making it public, and make sure that it is brought to the attention of the core group. These people must be made accountable. In the country I come from, Guyana, there is a lot of laxity. The people are very fed up that the alertness of old times is not there. But one good piece of news I received recently, you know, Guyana is now oil rich, rivaling Venezuela. It's a lot of money. And they don't even know what to do with it. They're giving out contracts right and left. At one time, they were ignoring procurement machinery. In Guyana, the procurement machinery was dormant for 10 years after it had been legislated. Nobody used it. The government did not use it. And it happened to be the same government now. Now they are handing out contracts right and left. A member of the National Resources Fund, which was hastily appointed less than a year ago, has filed an action in court asking the court to declare that the fund was not behaving transparently. He said that as a member of the fund, he did not know what was happening to the money. The money was being drawn down very rapidly. That is Guyana, the country with the fastest growing GDP in the world today. Money is not everything. So, if we appoint a small committee to draft the resolution and approve it by round robin, as we used to say, we can then draw that to the attention of the authorities, including the core group and the United Nations and all the blessed ones, and ask for a response. We have to find simple ways of keeping the Haiti issue more actively before the Caribbean public and the world public, because Haiti is a world issue and we must treat it accordingly. That sums up what I think we can do. I wrote a letter recently which may have appeared, I don't know, I can't read, so I have to be told your letter appeared or did not appear or so.
Lost Elder uses connection, Elder Akko. Your audio is not on, Elder Akko.
I'm not seeing him. I received. Hold on now. Yeah, I am not seeing him. I don't, maybe lost contact. I'm not sure.
I'm calling Kofi. I think I saw him in the background to see if he can.
Yeah. Anyway, we may have to move on. Maybe have him come back. So I don't know what happened, but anyway, let's move on. We could have him come back if he needs to. So at this point, I would like to introduce one of our supporting organizations, the First African Church of Atlanta. The First African Church has a ministry called the Caribbean Ministry, and they gladly accepted to be a supportive organization in this project. We have here with us the founding pastor of the First African Church, Reverend Dr. Mark Lomax, who is a professor of homiletics at the International Theological Center in Atlanta, Georgia. Dr. Lomax has been a professor of theology for a couple of decades and has been the pastor of the First African Church. Very progressive church. You know, I'm not a man who's go anywhere near church, but this is a church I've been to. So it gives you an idea of how impactful the sermons are and the theology they practice. I've asked Dr. Lomax to be here because I think there's a connection, because as a theologian, President Aristide was also a theologian, liberal, a radical theologian, and and if you listen to, anytime you go to Dr. Lomax's church, he speaks very much about what is called a radical consciousness that must be developed. And so without further comment, I will now call on Reverend Dr. Mark Lomax to do a summary for us on today's proceedings and to bring any messages of solidarity that he wishes to express. Dr. Lomax.
Thank you so much, Brother Akko, for the opportunity and the invitation to be here with you all tonight. I found this conversation profoundly engaging, extremely interesting, and I am somewhat disappointed that we are limited to tonight the number of people that are participating. I think that this is the kind of conversation that thousands of people need to be participating in at some level. Just the powerful information shared about the struggles, historic and currently, of Haiti. And we all know what's in the news these days. The stories, while outlining and detailing some of the political, social movements, the economic movements of the nation, really do say more about the resilience of the people, the kind of revolutionary consciousness that is born in the people. I'm reminded that Haitians' first major revolution that I'm aware of against the French and the Spanish was led by spiritual leaders. You had Louverture, but you had also spiritual leaders who were using their religious understanding, their understanding of the spirit realm, to impact what happened in the natural. And it seems to me, in so many of these kinds of meetings that I attend, it seems that we have forgotten that we too are spirit, that the whole world is spirit. At the end of the day, once you get beneath the material reality, there is spirit. I don't care whether we identify or accept the notion of deity or God or not. The fact of the matter is that we are energy. We are spirit. And that energy must be corralled. And when it is corralled, it can be used with a power, as we've seen in so many of our revolutions, not just the Haitian, but in others. It can be used as power to upset the systemic and structural oppressions that we collectively experience. That's the thing that I really want to press in on tonight. One of the things I'm aware of, just because I'm a professor, I teach at a historically black or African theological seminary in Atlanta. One of the things I'm aware of is that our younger people are very, very profoundly interested in the elders and the ancestors and their teachings, are interested in knowing more about their spiritual foundations. They don't want to identify as Christian or traditionalist or nothing like that. They don't want to be a Muslim. They don't want to be a Jew. They understand that their essential essence is spiritual, and they want to understand that. They want to understand how, as spiritual beings that interact with other spiritual beings, including the flora and the fauna, including the very air itself, how do I then join that and marry that kind of energy to have an impact where I am? And it seems to me that needs to be a part of the discussion, that as people who provide leadership in various ways, can we find ways to invite people who understand spirituality to come and help us to gather or gain a deeper understanding of what is behind what we're doing. The Elon Musk of the world have what I would characterize as a very evil spirituality, a very evil spiritual consciousness. And he's not by himself, but they are in union with each other about what they want to accomplish, not in the world, but against the world, being the people and the environments in which we occupy. They think because they're rich, because they have billions and billions of dollars, they could do whatever they want to whomever and to whatever. And that kind of thinking will take down the entire world. That's why I characterize it as evil, as wicked. But there is a counter move, a countermeasure, born in the hearts and the minds and the beings of the majority of we the people, that once identified and once organized in a particular way, can really effectively counter. And I think that's what Aristide was up to. I think as a liberation theologian, he understood that is not just about dollars and cents, and it's not just about political movements, but it's also about the spirituality that underlies it. So I don't want to sell him cheap on that piece. I think the same was true of the ancient ancestors and the more recent ones, both in America and South Africa and around the world. They've understood the importance of galvanizing and utilizing the spiritual authority that belongs to them. That's the piece I think that I would offer, that I would suggest. I mean, I do it at the church all the time. I do it with my students all the time. I do it wherever I'm lecturing, because I think that's my role in the world, is to remind people that we are spirit beings at the end of the day. We are not just flesh and blood. When we leave this body, we keep on living. I don't care who we are. It's in the warp and woof of creation itself. And we are part of creation. So that's what I would offer, dear brother. I hope I wasn't preaching, but that's what I would offer.
And if your word is accepted.
I should.
So thank you very much. Before we move to the, but you see, I'll not come back. So before we move to Dave doing thank you, I would call on the initial speakers to, just make some parting comments, and we will start with Sister Yaya Marin first to make some parting comments. Closing comments, Sister Yaya, for 2 minutes. She's not here. She's gone. Can we get Senator Maharaj then to make some parting comments, closing comments? Unmute.
Yeah, sure. Well, first I'd like to bow to the Professor UC Koyana. It is the first time I'm meeting him virtually, and it's incredible to have that opportunity. So I want to thank him, and I think that his suggestion is doable. I think it's something that can be done, and I think we should consider how it can be done. An intervention. I'm seeing a lot of interesting suggestions in the chat, and I think we should all think about it. We can't stop. The thing is that every attempt to engage Haiti is interfered with, is easily given cynicism. It comes in, cynicism seeps in, but you can't stop. And the point that Haiti was not just the first to free itself, but it was a point of encounter between Europe and Americas when they came in and they killed off the chiefs, the indigenous leaders. And that's a whole story to continue. It was in Haiti that happened. Then it came on to the enslavement of people. So that is a huge, it's a point in the civilization of brutality, of resistance, of triumph, of defeat, of triumph, and so on. It is good. It is core to the civil. That is the real core, not that core group. And we all have a responsibility. The world has a responsibility in Haiti. But what we in the rest of the Caribbean suffer from is a deeply ingrained fear of Haiti. Let us remember that when Haitians were fleeing and different groups who were trying to settle and move their enslaved people and come and get other lands in the Caribbean and made their deals with the British and with the Spanish to come to places like Trinidad, what they were bringing and sowing the seeds of was distrust of blackness, distrust of Haiti. That's a terrible place, that's an evil place, and we have imbibed that. And we have to unlearn that. We have to interrogate our own personal imaginations, right? And the spiritual leader is right. It was spirit that carried that revolution. It was Bookman how many days in the forest of preparing people. But the soul, the spirit, how much is it to endure? And this is where those who are not in that position have to find ways, tax our imagination, figure it out, and not just say it's too hard. And so the smallest, and my all I have to say is the smallest link you can make it. That little link might grow. But Haitians need that tangible. They need to know we are here. That's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And now, Sister Margaret Prescott, using comments, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. This has just been amazing experience. And I'll have to say we lost the line with Elder Ayusi, but we should know that this coming spring of 2025, our elder will be 100 years old. And that is just quite something, that he's with us, he's strong, he's giving us our marching orders, so to speak. So I just want to mention that and lift him up for everything that he has done and that he's offering us now. One thing I would say, and I did put it in the chat, a few practical suggestions. One is that anybody who can make a donation, no matter how small it is, could be a love donation, to the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund. You can look them up online. I feel confident in that because I know of their work. Brother Pierre, who is part of it, knows of their work. I have seen what they do on the ground. They don't, like some of these other organizations, they don't take off an administrative fee and all that kind of stuff. So when you donate to the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund, you know that it's going directly on the ground to assist the people that the senator, I just met you for the first time online. I was so happy to hear your story and to learn of the experience that you had and of your husband. That is very, very important because, Senator, you spoke of the needs of the Haitian people on the ground. I can't tell you, my brother Pierre is, I don't know when he sleeps, constantly working and trying to, assist as is possible. The Global Women's Strike-Our Network, we are here. I hope that's changed. But last time I was on a webinar and raised it, we were the only organization in the United States outside of those connected with Pierre's organization, the Haiti Action Committee, that donated regularly on a monthly basis to Haiti. That don't mean we have a lot of money, That means that if somebody says, you know what, I could pledge $5 a month, like you tithe in the church. I'm glad to see that, and the spiritual beings, I'm all with that. And I know that the ancestors have likely selected some of us on this call today and people who are going to continue, to do that work. But that is really so important. I can't tell you how important that is. We do it. We're not funded to do it, but we tithe. As I said, it's like going to church. At church service, always pastoring the plate for the collection. And people, there's a lot that you can do politically, spiritually, otherwise with Haiti. But please, if you can, donate to the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund. They help the University of the Aristide Foundation, grassroots people on the ground, the food distribution that happens out of the Aristide Foundation, the International Women's Day event that they have every March 8th there. In fact, March 8th, International Women's Day, is the founding day of the foundation. So that's one thing I would suggest Pierre, I think, has also put up in the chat places where people could get information. We do what we can on Sojourner Truth. I also would suggest anybody who's confused about who some of these gang members are and if they're revolutionaries or not, please see the film that I did on the ground called Massacres in La Saline. You will hear, some people say La Saline, I say La Saline. You will hear from the people directly who are survivors of that massacre. You'll hear from the women, you'll hear from the children, you'll hear from the men. And that is available also on the Haiti-Solidarity.net website. Also, I'm pretty sure we have a link for it on the Global Women's Strike.net. But just do what you can. Okay, just do what, because we need that information, because there's a lot of confusion and misinformation floating around. So that would be what I would suggest. And we can't ever forget Haiti, because in forgetting Haiti, we're really forgetting ourselves. We need Haiti, and Haiti needs us, and we are one. We're one in spirit. We are one in the struggle on the ground, and we need each other throughout this whole Caribbean region, because we're in trouble. Haiti is fighting back. There are a lot of us that are in trouble in some of these other islands and not fighting back in the way that Haitians are. And the senator is right when she talks about how they're put down Haiti and they're suffering because of voodoo and a whole lot of foolishness that's going around. So thank you for doing this, and I'm glad to see Jeb Sprague will be on next. He's been on the show and reading his book about the military intervention, etc. So thank you, and please lift up Brother Pierre and his family. But I worry about him as I worry about the Aristides constantly, but also the people, our sisters and brothers on the ground in Haiti. So please, give what you can, do what you can. Appreciate you. Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much. I see Brother UC is back. Brother UC, we are about to close, and I don't know if you want to just take a couple minutes to make some parting comments. But you have to unmute your mic. You have to unmute your mic. Your mic is muted. Unmute the mic for him, please.
Kofi is not home, but I'll call him again.
Yeah, somebody's. Yeah, so, okay, you can speak now. You can speak now. Yes, but you see, just a couple of minutes, we are winding up. We will pass over 2 hours deadline.
I'm advised to ask whether I was heard at all.
What is it, please?
Was my statement heard?
Oh, yes, it was heard.
Oh, I see. Because they said something, the computer was out of charge.
Yeah, it was heard, and then you went off for a while, but we heard you for a long time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So we are about to close. I want to know if you want to make any parting comments for a few minutes. Are you hearing me?
Yes, he's hearing you. You're hearing him,
Okay.
right?
I'm hearing you, yes.
Okay, so do you want to...
Comment.
No, I just want to make a comment. I was just advised that I might not have been heard.
Oh,
No, you were heard.
program to the end of it because the computer went down.
But most of it was heard.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to make any comments?
It's if you want to make any comments.
No further comments. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So, Brother Pierre, your parting comments, please. Closing comments. Unmute. Yeah.
Yes, I wanted to say thank you. This has been a great event, very uplifting. Pretty much, I really second what Third or what have you what everyone has been saying, we're all unanimously in agreement with Baba Erusi and his suggestions. So pleased to have met the panelists and to have been educated by the panelists on various aspects of our common struggle. One thing I want to raise is that I want to lift up the Haitian women all over the world, but since we are dealing in particular with Haiti, part of the campaign that's been going on by these death squads has been the systematic gang rape of women from children. We are talking 11, 10 to 10 years old, all the way to grandmas and great grandmas, people in their 70s. Gang rape is being used as a weapon of terror against the women, but also, mostly since they are the direct victims, against their husbands, brothers, the male siblings, female siblings as well, their children, and the whole family. It's for psychological destruction in addition to the physical. So that is something that those vivant ensemble groups are doing, those death squads. Margaret, I'm so glad that you raised the issue about the American ambassador, Dennis Hankins, who, according to Barbecue himself, Jimmy Cherizier, has met with him. He said, not with him, I'm sorry, I cannot say that, but has met with embassy personnel. And during an interview on Radio Metropole, the ambassador, Dennis Hankins, has not denied that there was such exchanges. He said, but it was to focus on embassy security. So since when does an ambassador whose embassy, who's unsure about the security of their embassy, has their personnel talking, having exchanges with those gang leaders, so-called gangs? So Haitians are horrified about this. We want to thank all the folks who have, all of the beautiful sisters and brothers, and Brother Nigel, who had initiated the drafting of the letter, who drafted the letter, but also Sister Charlene of the Haiti Support Group, the NOTA. I don't want to go into naming all the names, but this was a very powerful initiative of solidarity. Finally, I want to tell you that in 1825, that's when the French, and thank you so much, Senator Maraj, Saniti Maraj, because for raising the issue of the ransom. 1825 was when the French came with a squadron, with a big naval, armada, and demanded that Haiti pay France a ransom. So all over Haiti right now, and President Aristide raised this in 2003, there was massive opposition, not from the people of Haiti. He had total support, but from this little clique of sellouts, Haitian Uncle Toms, and they participated with the French in the coup d'etat to stop the demand for one restitution, which at the time was calculated to be $21.7 billion. We are talking 2003. Since then, it's been calculated at 28 billions, and other economists have put other calculations. They said it's more like $115 billion when the account for all the things that could have been invested in to develop the country. So 1825, this happened. 2025 will be 200 years. And all over Haiti, there is a renewed demand for this money to be returned to Haiti, and it's called restitution. Reparations is another bill for the crime of slavery, enslaving and all of that. But restitution is a known amount. And so all over Haiti, there is a real push right now for this to happen. So I know it's late. I don't want to keep you. I'll keep you posted on that. And your solidarity and your support will also be needed. But again, we are one people. When we help each other, when we help one, we help all of us. In Creole, we say "yun pour l'autre." This means solidarity. Each one help each other. All for one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Pierre Labossiere, for your closing comments. And I would now invite Comrade Dave Smith from the National Workers Union do a vote of thanks.
Okay, Echo. We've had some interesting contributions this evening, and the initiative for this came, I think, from we from the National Workers Union, we helped to sponsor this, but the initiative, I think, came from the Caribbean Dialogue. Comrade Pierre obviously has a wealth of knowledge about the history of Haiti, and we got a sense of that, and that was reinforced a lot by Comrade Margaret. And I was interested in one little gem from Comrade Margaret about Simon Bolivar being invited to stay in Haiti as part of the struggle for against the Spanish Empire in South America. So it's interesting how the dynamics of struggle unfolds there. From Suniti Maharaj, it was interesting. I don't know whether I hope I didn't misunderstand. It seems as if Haiti is part of the Caribbean, but in a sense isn't part of the Caribbean at the same time. The language problems, suggestion or attempts to have documents written to try and get the English-speaking Caribbean to understand more about what's going on in Haiti. Sister Yaha's enthusiasm burst out of the screen in front of me. I mean, that enthusiasm is just unbeatable. Now, whenever I listen to somebody like Karajusi Kwayana, it's like touching history. I remember meeting somebody in the Cuban embassy who worked with Che Guevara after the revolution in the ministry of one of the ministries there. And you just want to go and stroke these people as if you're touching history. And when he got to the stage of saying, posing practical questions, and let's have a small committee, I smiled to myself because these are the things that organizers do. And you sense that this is what he would have been doing throughout his earlier years, organizing and getting practical things in place. Dr. Lomas was gently not preaching, I noticed. So I think it's been an interesting evening, but the question is where we go from here? Because I have to say that the question about really what's happening in Haiti is still not clear. What are these gangs? What's caused that? What organizations are functioning on the ground? And I came out of this wanting to ask lots of questions about some of those areas. So maybe that's for Haiti, Solidarity with Haiti version 4, that we could actually touch on some of those things. So interesting evening, I think.
Are you finished, Dave?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I know trade union people talk a lot, but sometimes you have to be...
But I didn't hear you say thank you.
Oh, thank you to everybody.
Thank you.
So it was a wonderful evening, and I was really happy to be part of this process this evening. And I will end this with a quote from Jose Marti. He said, "Rights are to be taken, not requested, seized for," right? That's the quote. Rights are to be taken, not requested, seized, not begged for. That is the end of the quote. That's the part there. Not begged for. Rights must be taken, not begged for. And I think this is the example of Haiti. They did not beg, they seized their rights. And that, to me, is why this ongoing suppression and oppression of the Haitian people is continuing. But with solidarity and with the spirit and resilience of the Haitian people, we will win. As the saying goes, victory is certain. victory is certain. So I thank everyone for being here. I thank the National Workers Union, Senator Maraj, Sister Margaret Prescott, Pierre Labossiere, Sister Yaya, of course, our elder, Brother UC Kwayana, and Reverend Dr. Mark Lomax and the Caribbean Ministry. And just to remind you that on February the 2nd, we'll be having another session on paramilitarism and democracy in Haiti, which that will be part 4. And the keynote speaker will be Jeb Sprague, who wrote the book Paramilitarism and Democracy in Haiti. We'll have other speakers from the Caribbean, and we will send information out. And before I end, I must apologize for there was an error on the time in Trinidad. I got confused with I was in Trinidad doing one thing, then I came here and there was a daylight saving time, and so when it should be 6 o'clock, it was just an error. So I apologize for any inconvenience that may be caused. But again, thank you all very much for being here, and we will follow up on some of the suggestions made here in terms of organizing something a little more concrete and answering some of the questions that were posed. So thank you all. Be safe. Have a good night. And it was a pleasure being part of this event. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.